What's up, beautiful world? This is rSlashTNA, and welcome to another episode of rSlashPettyRevenge. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button and notification bell anytime during this video. If this is your first time on this channel, we welcome you. If this is not your first time, welcome back. Enjoy the stories of rSlashPettyRevenge. Our first story is Dumpster Lids Must Close. A relative living in a mobile home passed away. I was the closest, so it fell to me to clear out the home for sale. The company that runs the mobile home park has a lot of rules. First annoying rule, no estate sales allowed. So instead of one simple phone call, I had to touch everything in the home. Donations, Craigslist, free cycle, and the shared dumpster were my only tools to empty a stuffed 2-bedroom mobile home. Over the weekends, I cleared it out, except for the garage. Finally cleared out enough to list the home for sale. Realtor said okay to work on garage while home is on the market. Garage wasn't too bad. One run to the hazardous waste collection place for paint and half-empty bug spray cans. Last thing to go were 6 large empty plastic storage bins, 8 rusted folding chairs, and 2 rusted card tables. I forgot to mention the mobile home was 30 minutes away from where I live. So, one Sunday night, I was close to the home and went to clear out the garage by putting the stuff in the dumpster. The shared dumpster is 2 blocks away, so I loaded up the car and drove the stuff to the dumpster. The dumpster was going to get picked up the next morning and was full. The lids were not closed. The dumpster has 2 plastic lids that are hanged on the back of the dumpster. I crammed the chairs, table, and bins into the already full dumpster, pushing the lids open further. A couple of other people came to drop off garbage while I was cramming chairs in the back. Then I drove home. I'm 5 minutes away when the park manager called to tell me I had to take the stuff out of the dumpster because the lid didn't close. Snitches. I immediately agreed to come back and explain that the lid already wasn't closing before I added the stuff. That didn't matter. Reminded me of that Seinfeld episode. Anyway, I went back and pulled the chairs, bins, and tables from the dumpster. The rest of the trash was bagged, so the stuff I pulled out was relatively clean. I went back the next day and threw the stuff back in the dumpster. I resisted the urge to open the chairs to take up space. So much resisting. A week later, I got a check for $1.54 from the park because I overpaid the space rent. The home is owned by a person. The space the home sits on is rented from the park. I didn't know the exact amount of rent, so I rounded up to the nearest $10. The check was the difference. The check was sent in the mail, which cost 55 cents. I shredded the check, so for the next 6 months, they're going to have to deal with a non-cash check. Ha! Revenge. I held my raised fist as the shredder chewed up their special hologram check. I think I might make a special trip to throw the shredded check back into the dumpster. Edit. Home sold, so no more space rent checks to pay. And this next r/petty-revenge story is, she challenged me. So I work in a small office with a small parking lot. This morning, I parked in the front spot. During my break, I decided to go to Taco Bell because I know I'll be missing lunch because I gotta go shopping. My coworker, who was sitting in her car smoking at the time I left, saw me leave, and when I came back, she was in my previous spot. I don't say anything about this, but inside my mind, I'm like, all right, I see how it is. Let's do this. Now, one thing about my job is that we all have different lunches scheduled, and my coworker always goes home for lunch. She just happens to be 1 hour before me. So what do? I ask my boss to be excused for a second and immediately pull me car into the previous spot. Was it petty? Yes. Was it unnecessary? Yes. Do I regret it? Nah. And congrats, Chica, it's now my personal mission to always hold that spot. Update number 1. So, while I was at the store, she actually did move her car back to the front spot. So if there was ever any doubt that this wasn't personal, it is now. And this next r/petty-revenge story is, it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. Screw that. It's not your stuff. I moved into an apartment where 2 friends of mine lived after we'd been talking about it for a year. I knew one more than the other, so I'm gonna name them RM1 and 2. I knew roommate 1 more since before, and he was the one trying his hardest to make sure I moved in. After I did, we started to make pretty chill rules about how to make sure we could coexist. big mistake. As time moved on, I started noticing stuff going missing. Hygiene products, sodas, alcohol, snacks, and food mainly. I asked RM2 about it. He said he was noticing the same thing and suspected RM1. We asked him about it. He denied doing anything like that, but we were not convinced. We both moved all snacks and our alcohol into our rooms. We caught him a few times taking food, sodas, and snacks. His answer to that was that he didn't know it was ours and thought it was his, even though it was obviously ours since he didn't buy the stuff himself. The last straw was when I went and visited my parents over the weekend. I had one bottle of gin in our liquor cabinet that I had forgot to put in my room and a box of my favorite wine on the floor of my room, which I had planned to drink when I came home on Sunday. I get a text from RM2 that RM1 had invited some friends over and they were drinking my wine and gin. When RM2 saw what they were drinking, he knew it was mine since I only bought the stuff. RM2, does Muppet Puppets know you're drinking his stuff? RM1, nah, I didn't ask. RM2, you know he'll be really pissed, right? RM1, well, it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission, laughing. Even one of the friends he invited over questioned what he did, but RM1 just played it off as if I wouldn't care. I was real pissed he had started to walk into our rooms to take our spit now. We had a stern talking to when I got home about how disrespectful that was. I now started locking my room and then went to a store and bought myself a label maker. Insert evil giggle. When I came home, I started labeling everything that was mine. Food, spices, cooking oils, snacks, sodas, alcohol, soaps, shampoos, conditioners, skincare products, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrush. For some reason, he took an earlier one I had used and refused to admit he took it. Kinda nasty, etc. When that was done, RM2 and I started to reorganize all the shelves in the kitchen and fridge to make sure it was super clear who had what. That just meant putting stuff we wasn't ours on a free shelf. For good measure, I labeled the shelves with our names, even where whose towel was supposed to be. RM1 had no more excuses regarding who had what and where. He also had to ask every single time to borrow anything. He had to replace my alcohol as well, which he did. We had no more problems with things disappearing after that. And this next r/PettyRevenge story is, want to yeet past me over a double yellow line? Enjoy your ticket. The community I live in has a speed limit of 25 miles per hour. It also has a connecting street to another development which leads to a main road, so people tend to cut through my neighborhood to get there. Many drivers enjoy speeding through the streets rather than following the speed limit. The local police department therefore decided to start implementing surprise speed traps right by the main entrance. I have never been stopped by one, as I like to drive safely and not get tickets that I can't afford, but I often tend to end up in front of drivers who like to drive recklessly and get angry when those in front of them don't do the same. Our story begins when my car's cruise control button finally got fixed. I had long been waiting for this because then I could finally enact Operation r/PettyRevenge. There's a gentleman who regularly cuts through my neighborhood who owns a Dodge Challenger. For those who don't know, Challengers can get loud. Consequently, this fellow enjoys revving the engine every 100 yards or so to inform everyone nearby that this is a Dodge Challenger and its driver likely has a less than average size endowment. This morning, I found myself pulling out of my driveway right as the Challenger turned the corner and approached. And you bet your butt I booped that cruise control button and meandered at a comfortably legal 25 miles per hour the entire ride through my neighborhood. And the driver behind me was pissed, revving that engine, riding my bumper, the works. I was loving it. The piece de resistance was when we turned onto the street right before the main entrance. Sure enough, a police car was there. Now, normally, the police puts a car there without an officer inside just to spook drivers into slowing down, but today, the universe was on my side. In his haste to pass me and continue on his merry way, the driver of the Challenger apparently didn't notice the upcoming police car because he revved the engine one more time, scooted past me on a squeal of tires, and across a double yellow line, might I add, and for good measure, screeched a cordial F you to me out his open passenger window. The police car, that glorious police car, flipped on its lights and whipped out into the street and pulled that moron over. I haven't laughed that hard in years. Those were 4 great stories. To hear my best suggested stories, click on the video to the left. To hear more Petty Revenge stories, click on the video to the right. Click on that subscribe button right there in the middle and make sure to like and leave your comments below. Thank you for listening. Have yourself a great day.